We are so excited. We're sitting in our kids' room right now, looking around and realizing there's not enough space for toys if Christmas is right around the corner.
And we find ourselves in that situation quite frequently, either around Christmas or with birthdays and stuff coming up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna declutter and organize the kids' room and hopefully give you some ideas and tips for how you can do the same with Christmas just around the corner.
When there's not enough space for toys, this is what you do. You have another baby, and then you try and cram everything into an already very tight space.
Yeah, and that is not actually a recommendation from us, but if you do have another baby, then, you know, happy days, congratulations. This is what happened in our case. We had a baby girl in August of this year. So this year we've been kind of shifting things around. Our oldest, 9-year-old Marcus, he's gone downstairs to the basement. That's where he lives now. And then we moved our 2-year-old Lucas into this room with his older sister Emilia, who is 6. So all of a sudden you have a room that was very well optimized for a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, but is currently housing a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. And as you can imagine, that is not necessarily a recipe for success.
When Lucas first moved in here, he was super excited because he loves Lego, and there's a lot of Lego in here. So within about 2 days, all Emilia's Lego sets were all taken apart. We had to change some things around, and we've done that kind of like a little bit here, a little bit there, but we haven't really gone down and overhauled the whole room. So that's what we're doing now.
There are a few hotspots in this room, basically areas that are either overstuffed or not optimized to make the best use of the space available, or areas that just aren't conducive to kids actually playing around in here. Which is kind of the point of all of this.
This here is Lucas's toddler toys. He never plays with any of this because he can't get to them. Then we have the Duplos. He plays with them all the time, but we have a lot of train tracks, and he only plays with those when we take him out and start building because they're hard to find. And over here we have the creative box, which is up high so Lucas won't get to it. But it's overstuffed and not very fun to play with. And she only really plays with the things in there when we bring it out.
Yeah, because it's just difficult to get out.
Mm-hmm. Like up here. This is also difficult to get because her musical instruments, she used to play with them a lot when she was younger. When Marcus had this room, it was Nerf gun storage and we got it for that purpose and it was awesome. It's not so awesome for music storage.
It just doesn't really look very nice. And, I mean, the fact of the matter is they just don't play with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we should probably think about how we can use this more optimally.
Exactly. And really, when the kids don't play with it for a while, we usually take it away and put it in storage. And then if they don't talk about it for a few months, then we could donate it. If they do talk about it and ask for it back, then we'll consider bringing it back.
Case in point.
Down here, got baby dolls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you organize this?
I did not, actually. We had these baby dolls in storage for 6 months, I think. And Emilia was fine with that. She actually suggested we put them away so we had space for other things. Then she started asking for them back right around the time we had Olivia, our baby. So last week we said, okay, fine, you can have them back, but you have to figure out where they go and how to organize them. And she like looked all over the room and suggested like all these different places. So I was like, is that gonna fit there? She's like, no. And then she had the idea of putting them out here. And she did this all by herself. Like this is all the clothes and hairbrushes, because baby dolls have hair, not really. Down here we have soaps and food stuff. Looks good. This here used to be Lego storage from when Emilia and Marcus shared the room. But it couldn't really be Lego storage when Lucas came in here because he could get into all of it, and he did. So we had to repurpose this, and it's actually been empty for a while. So this is a good use of this space here.
But speaking of Lego storage, we actually had to find a different solution for the Lego, and we thought, hey, IKEA and Lego are actually releasing this new collaboration project called the Byglik, which is basically storage, but also a toy in and of itself. And we did a whole video on the Byglik product, reviewing it with our kids, and you can check that out up here. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler and say that we absolutely love this solution. Not just because it's so Scandinavian, you know, IKEA and Lego and all that, but because it doubles both as a toy and as a storage solution at the same time. And when there's not enough space for toys, those are the kind of solutions that you want to go for. So Byglik is a good example of that. Another good example of that is the beanbag that also doubles as a storage for teddy bears and plushie toys. And the little roller suitcase that we can use for storage, but also functions as kind of like a rolly car toy type of thing. The Kallax bookcase is kind of the centerpiece when it comes to toy storage in this room. Now, we love it for so many different reasons. One being that, you can keep stuff on display and it makes it so that the kids play with things more than they maybe otherwise would. But it's also really nice to have certain toys that you can just kind of pull out in their boxes and then play with them in different parts of the room or even elsewhere in the house. The problem with the Kallax unit is the fact that if you've got a bunch of stuff on display, it doesn't necessarily make the best use of the vertical space. And I think that's maybe something that we can look at in terms of making more space for the toys that are coming in. So I think we can definitely do that for the puzzles. I'm pretty sure we can find a solution that kind of fits that description for the creative stuff as well, and maybe for the Lego Duplo train tracks also. That said, I think sometimes if you find yourself in this situation where there's not enough space for toys, then you might not want to try to utilize every last bit of space there is available. Sometimes the easiest solution is just to get rid of stuff. So what we're gonna do before we do anything else is just to take a quick tour through the room and declutter.
Decluttering can be really overwhelming for a lot of people, especially if you don't know where to start. Now, we did a video not too long ago about how to declutter fast and efficiently. So after watching this video, you should go check that one out. We had a time in our house where My Little Pony was on TV constantly. That is over, which I'm not sad about. And she really hasn't played with these ponies for a long time. So I think we're gonna put these into storage and see if she asks for them. If she does, we'll probably bring them out again. If she doesn't, then someone else can enjoy them. The most important thing when organizing kids' toys is that your kids are not dependent on you to have a good time or to clean up after themselves. So make sure that the toys are accessible, and also putting labels is really key so they know where things go afterwards. That's probably something we're gonna do. We used to have them, but then Lucas moved into the room and ripped them all off, so we're gonna get some better ones. Are you recording? Mm-hmm. Okay, decluttering. That's what we did. We're back, and we decluttered the room. Look in here. This is what we got rid of. That we're going to be donating to someone. The ponies, we decided we're gonna put this in storage so that if they ask for it in like 6 months or a year, we have them still. It doesn't feel like a lot, but it actually freed up an entire cube here. Ooh. So actually even feels like there's a lot more space now than that because we made better use of the space that we had. Let's show you what we did. One of the things we did is right over here. We added these two cupboard doors. In here, we have all of Emilia's paper arts and crafts. So all the drawings she's completed, all the drawings she's still working on, her drawing books, her sticker books. These sticker books, she hasn't been using them for like a couple of months, but then the last few days she's been sitting at her desk and using them like all the time.
And the benefit of having these cupboard doors is the fact that all the stuff that doesn't really look very nice, like the paper stuff and all her incomplete drawings and maybe some of her like jewelry,
usually these are like all over here.
Things, yeah, exactly. Then, it's kind of hidden behind the doors and it's easy to make look nice.
Yes. Yeah, and she can get to it a lot easier. Like if this stuff had to be like out and looking nice, it would take up so much more space. This was all over the room. It was over here, it was over there. Now it's one place. Some of the other things we did was add this shelf here. So we had a shelf added here, so this cubic became 2 shelves, and now all of her creative stuff that are not paper-based are in here. So we have the pearls, the beads, and then all of her other fun stuff that she likes to make all sorts of creations with are in one. So take one out, use that instead of having to dig through one of those big cubes. This shelf we also added. It's a little bit different. It's like a wire shelf. Like all of her robot programming cards and the different things you can decorate them with are in here now, and her robot's right above. We actually had the robots down here, like on the shelf below, for a day until Lucas, he discovered it and he was super happy and he played with them and threw them around, and Emilia wasn't happy, so we put him up again so he can't reach them. We also have another shelf over here that we put the puzzles on because they were just taking up a whole cube, which is not really very good use of space. So we put all the train tracks, there's Duplo, in one of these other ones, and it fits perfectly here. And whenever he wants to build a train track, he can just take that one out instead of having to dig through these here to find all the stuff he needs.
We actually did that this morning. All the train tracks were out and he was playing with it for the first time in a long while, the way, they're kind of meant to be played with.
And actually, we were in bed trying to make him sleep a little longer and then having to go back and forth. And then all of a sudden he comes in with this in his hands. Build Lego tracks? Build Lego tracks? And we're like, I guess you can get them out yourself now. That's great. So we were happy and sad at the same time.
Saturday mornings should be sacred.
While we're down here, look at these pretty labels that we made. I think they look really nice. So that's one thing, the aesthetics of it. Not the most important thing. The most important thing is that the kids can see what is in the little box here. And they have, like Lucas, he knows that the Duplos are in here and the Barbies are up here, but he sometimes forgets where the food is and he kind of like looks for it. So now, like, he'll be able to see that, and also when he puts it away, be able to put it away in the right one. I haven't seen that so much in these here last few days, but I have seen it over here where we also made labels. This is by the desk. And this here used to be full of like one thing for Mia's toys, another thing for Lucas' toys. Like, it wasn't really nicely defined. Now this is all Lucas's toys, which I really love. And he had one of those cubes over there full of all his toddler toys. Now they're divided into like these blocks here that he can see a picture of. He knows that those are exact blocks that he has. Then his cars, different wooden bouncy toys, his dinosaurs, and noisy toys. Not our favorite.
Hence, they're on the bottom.
Yeah.
But he's played with these a lot more than he has in the last few days. Mm-hmm. We weren't able to fit all of them into this one thing, but I think having this solely for Lucas makes it so that he kind of feels like it's his own. Mm-hmm. And he's really taken to that. The rest of the bigger toys, they lend themselves a little bit better to being displayed. So that's something that we take into consideration as well. And he has played with these a lot more than he had up to that point.
Mm-hmm. Underneath the bed, this rolly storage here, we didn't really change much. It's exactly the way it was because it was working really well. Behind the door though, we have some more book storage. The top shelf has been changed out because we used to have all the sticker books and workbooks and different things up there. They couldn't really get to that or help, so we moved that into where it made sense to have. We already showed you that. And now we have different books that we read to the kids, which makes a lot more sense because we're the ones reading them and therefore on the top shelf we can reach them. Makes sense. Over here, this is what I'm most excited about actually. The wall unit, you remember that one? It was ugly with the music instruments. We were thinking about getting rid of them or putting them in storage, but we decided not to. Instead, we got some different things to put them up, like the elastic bands, so they look a lot nicer. And then that made room for 3 of those boxes here where we have different things in it. One of them is her Pokemon cards. Another one is her treasured McDonald's toys and other toys like that we don't love, but for some reason kids do. So they're up there. And the last one are the different books that she's reading at night. She used to have them like tucked in on the side here, and that just didn't look very nice. So now she has them up there, she can reach them, they look nicer, and like, she's happy with it.
Oh, and you mentioned also with the musical instruments that, we were thinking of putting them into storage, but it was actually Emilia that suggested that we make a display out of them. Despite the fact that she doesn't use them very frequently, then, she kind of liked the idea of having them up there for display. Mm-hmm. On the topic also of her suggesting things, let's have a look at this thing of beauty.
Piece of art here. There used to be a lot more things glued onto it. That fallen off. We were kind of thinking it served its glory days already and was ready to be thrown away. It used to be up here, not really seen by anyone. So we thought, okay, we can get rid of it. But turns out she was very aware of it and she missed it. She walked into the room and she's like, "Where's my yellow painting?" We're like, we'll get that for you. So we're
I'm not entirely sure. It was out in the shed.
I think I said that.
Getting ready to get rid of it.
But yeah, no, we know where it is. We know where it is. Do you really want it? Like, yes. So it's gonna be here.
Because it reminds her of
That's right.
her friends from preschool.
Yeah, it's not so much that it's the most beautiful thing she's ever made because she's aware that she's improved a lot since then. But it was a good memory and she really liked having it. So since that's the only like piece of art that she really feels that way about, we're keeping it.
We started out with this problem that there was not enough space for toys, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. I mean, we'll continue to keep an eye on the room and how the kids are playing and what works and what doesn't work, and then tweak things accordingly before we're happy with it. But now, at least, it doesn't feel like with Christmas just around the corner that we're going to end up in a situation where the room just instantly feels overcluttered with the addition of a few new toys. Christine, you mentioned that, you know, we have this space to work with. This is completely empty. We also have Christine's multifunctional suitcase storage down there, and we didn't end up using that. So we have a little bit of space to work with, which just feels very nice. Is this an issue for you guys? How many toys do your kids end up getting for Christmas? And are you looking to clear up some space? Please let us know in the comments because we'd love to hear from you. Before you leave, if you've liked this video and gotten some inspiration, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for more inspiration, maybe you're expecting some new kitchen toys for Christmas and you want to clear out your kitchen, then we made a really good video on how to declutter and organize your kitchen. You should definitely check that one out. For more content like this, please subscribe, and then we'll see you next week.